Hello and welcome back to Learn English All About Sports. I'm your host, Willie, and this is our fourth episode.
And I'm Tim. It's great to be with you all. So far, we've covered the NFL and the FIFA World Cup, two massive single-sport events. But today, we're talking about the biggest multi-sport festival on Earth.
That's right. We are diving into the history, spectacle, and glory of the Olympic Games.
It's an event that brings the entire world together, not just for one sport, but for dozens. Today, we'll explore its ancient roots, its modern revival, the powerful symbols that represent its values, and of course, some of the legendary athletes who became global icons on the Olympic stage. It's a huge topic, so let's start at the very beginning. Tim, the Olympics are old. Just how old are we talking? We're talking ancient old, Willie. That word ancient means belonging to the very distant past. The original Olympic Games began in Olympia, Greece in 776 BC. That's nearly 3,000 years ago.
Wow. And they weren't just a sporting event back then, right?
Not at all. They were primarily a religious festival to honor the Greek god Zeus. Athletes from different city-states would come together to compete in events like running, wrestling, and chariot racing. A sacred truce was even declared so that everyone could travel to the games safely.
So even back then, it was about bringing people together peacefully.
Exactly. These ancient games continued for over 1,000 years before they were eventually stopped. And for about 1,500 years, the Olympics were just a memory.
Until the modern era. What happened then?
Well, in the late 19th century, a Frenchman named Baron Pierre de Coubertin had a vision. He wanted to bring the games back. He led the charge for a revival of the Olympics. A revival is when you bring something back that has been forgotten or out of use. And he succeeded. He did. The first modern Olympic Games were held in 1896 in Athens, Greece, paying homage to their origins, and they've continued ever since, growing into the massive event we know today.
And that revival was more than just sports. Coubertin and the International Olympic Committee, or IOC, established some very important values. What are those?
The three core Olympic values are excellence, friendship, and respect. It's not just about winning, but about participating, trying your best, and respecting your competitors and the rules. It's about building a better world through sport.
And these values are represented by some very famous symbols. The most famous one has to be the Olympic rings.
Of course, the 5 interlocking rings, blue, yellow, black, green, and red, on a white background. They represent the 5 inhabited continents of the world, and their interlocking nature represents unity, the idea of these continents coming together. The colors were chosen because every nation's flag contains at least one of them, a symbol of global unity. I love that. And what about the flame? The Olympic torch is another huge symbol. Absolutely. This is a tradition that connects the modern games directly to the ancient ones. Before each Olympics, a flame is lit in Olympia, Greece, using a mirror and the sun's rays. And then it travels, right? That's the torch relay. Exactly. The torch relay is the journey the flame takes. Thousands of people carry the torch through different countries until it reaches the whole city for the opening ceremony. The final torchbearer then lights the Olympic cauldron, a giant bowl which burned for the entire duration of the Games.
It's such a powerful and dramatic moment. Now, Tim, when we talk about the Olympics, we're actually talking about two different events, aren't we?
Yes, that's a key distinction, or difference to make. They are the Summer Games and the Winter Games.
The Summer Games are the ones most people think of first. They're the larger of the two and feature sports like athletics, which is track and field, swimming, gymnastics, basketball, and many more.
Right. And the Winter Games, as the name suggests, are for sports that require snow and ice. This is where you'll see skiing, snowboarding, figure skating, and ice hockey.
And they're not held in the same year. They alternate. That word alternate means to occur in turn, one after the other. So we get a Summer Games, then 2 years later a Winter Games, then 2 years later a Summer Games again.
That's the rhythm. It means we get to experience the excitement of the Olympics every 2 years, which is fantastic for sports fans.
And speaking of bringing people together, there's another massive, inspiring event that runs in parallel with the Olympics, isn't there?
It really is. And through all these games, summer and winter, athletes rise to the occasion and become legends. The Olympics are where stars become immortal.
They absolutely do. And when you talk about Olympic legends, you have to start in the swimming pool with the most decorated Olympian of all time, the American swimmer Michael Phelps.
The Baltimore Bullet. His medal count is just mind-boggling.
It is. Over 5 Olympic Games, he won a total of 28 medals, 23 of which were gold. No other athlete is even close to that. His dominance, his power and influence over a sport was absolute. At the 2008 Beijing Olympics alone, he won 8 gold medals, a record for a single Games.
And he did it for so long. He displayed incredible longevity, a word we've used before which means a long career. From a teenager to a man in his 30s, he was the best.
He was. Now, from the pool to the track, for pure speed and excitement, it's impossible to look past the Jamaican sprinter Usain Bolt.
Lightning Bolt. He wasn't just fast, he was a phenomenon. He made sprinting the must-see event of the Olympics. He holds the world records in the 100-meter and 200-meter dash.
And he had such charisma. That's a charm that inspires people. He was so confident and playful, he would smile and joke right before a race and then just blow away the competition. His iconic lightning bolt pose is one of the most famous images in sports history.
And that charisma is powerful. But sometimes an athlete's presence becomes powerful for reasons far beyond their personality. The Olympic stage has often been a platform for major political and social moments.
That's a powerful point. One of the most poignant examples of this was at the 1936 Berlin Olympics. The word poignant means creating a sharp sense of sadness or regret. At these games, the African-American track and field athlete Jesse Owens won 4 gold medals right in front of Adolf Hitler, challenging the Nazi ideology of racial superiority.
He was an entertainer as much as he was an athlete.
He was. And speaking of athletes who have transcended their sport, we have to talk about the American gymnast Simone Biles.
Absolutely. She is widely considered the greatest gymnast of all time. The skills she performs are so difficult that many of them are named after her because no one else could do them.
Her athletic ability is breathtaking, but her impact, the effect she has had, goes beyond her medals. At the Tokyo Olympics, she bravely withdrew from some events to prioritize her mental health, starting a global conversation about the immense pressure on athletes.
Her courage in that moment was just as inspiring as her routines. It showed that strength isn't just physical.
It certainly did. Phelps, Bolt, and Biles are just 3 examples, but every Olympic Games creates new heroes and unforgettable stories of triumphs and perseverance. Well, Tim, this has been a fantastic look at the Olympics. We've gone from ancient Greece to the modern heroes of today. Before we finish, let's do a quick recap of the key vocabulary we introduced.
Let's do it.
We started with ancient, meaning from the very distant past, and revival, which is the act of bringing something back.
Right. Then we had the symbols, which represent unity, coming together. We talked about the torch relay and the Olympic cauldron.
We also explained the distinction between summer and winter games and how they alternate every 2 years.
And for the athletes, we use words like dominance, longevity, charisma, and impact. A great list for our listeners to practice.
That's all the time we have for today's episode of Learn English All About Sports. We hope you feel a little closer to the spirit of the Olympics.
Join us next time as we head to the roaring engines and high-speed drama of motorsport. We'll be talking all about Formula One racing.
It's going to be a fast-paced one. Thanks for listening, and we'll see you then. Goodbye.
Bye, everyone.